If you've just joined us earlier on, we were learning about the importance of brand building. And now with us to give us some insight on the impact of social media on brand building is CEO of social media intelligence company BrandsEye, which recently developed a groundbreaking tool for analyzing social media, making them one of the leaders of the field of tracking what people are saying online and knowing how they feel towards brands and topics. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
That's quite a powerful source of information to have. Tell us a little bit more about this algorithm that you developed.
So social media, in essence, is lots of people talking on the one end.
Yeah.
And if you're an individual, it's maybe 50 friends. If you're a political party, it's potentially millions of people.
Yeah.
And on the other end is somebody who can make a decision. So the kind of tech that we've developed is how to connect those two. If you're somebody who can make a better decision that affects consumers, how do you get them to listen sort of convincingly to understand what's driving consumer satisfaction or dissatisfaction?
Okay.
And so we're actually trying to humanize social media for brands. So it's not just this sort of cold,
sure,
DM us your details type environment.
So the algorithm that you developed kind of measured sentiment, especially for a political campaign that was running online, so that what did you find out? How people felt about what political parties were sending them as a message?
So on the one hand, you measure how people feel. So if we look at Brexit in the UK, we could look at everybody speaking in the UK, figure out, hang on, in this Leave Remain debate, what do people actually feel about it? You know, are they, if somebody says, David Beckham's voting Leave, so I'm going to vote Leave, they're being sarcastic. You know, anybody who reads that knows it. And so our tech enables us to get to the heart of it. How does somebody really feel about this? And so we could see beforehand that actually more people were going to vote Leave than Remain, and that was a total surprise to us. So we've kind of rolled that out. We looked at the SA elections, and we could see in Johannesburg and in Tshwane that actually people are dissatisfied with what has gone before, and so the kind of balance of power was shifting, and social media is this sort of always-on focus group that if you can listen properly, it helps you understand, like, what do people really care about?
You can almost predict the future.
I think the line we often use is how people feel today influences what they do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so what brands often forget is this is just, it's people and it's people.
Sure.
And by humanizing it, you realize that. And if you take it to an example of a relationship, you know, you're with your kind of significant other.
I'm not, I'm about to be with Brad Pitt.
With Brad Pitt, correct. So, and Brad Pitt says, hey, Jeannie D, can you come over to LA? And you don't get that message, you're going to miss out on a whole future.
Yeah.
And so when you think about it as two people talking to one another, why would you trust kind of some computer in between to help you decipher what the other person is saying? And that's the mistake people often make, because brands, in essence, it's an online personality, if you like.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to do is understand what do people love, what do people hate. And in the human relationship, if you can do two things well, you'll stay in a relationship. One is to listen to the other person, and two is to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And social media is really just the area in which people are having that discussion.
Yeah.
And what do I love about you, what do I hate about you, and what can you do to kind of better serve my needs in this moment?
So then it stands to reason that your online reputation is just as important as how your normal business should be run.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think where we see great brands doing this well is in kind of a cohesive message between marketing and experience.
Yeah.
And again, in the relationship side, if you go on Tinder and you put out a false impression of yourself, when you actually meet the person, they're going to say, whoa, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And with brands, it's the same. If your marketing is putting out one thing, but the experience is something else, and there's this kind of expectation mismatch, then people leave. They're like, wait, that's not what I thought it was. And so it's critical that there's this sort of cohesive message between what you promise you do and what you actually deliver.
But then do you filter out who is the direct market? Because I think social media has taught us that it's given everybody an opinion, but sometimes there's a lot of trolls who maybe you should take their opinion into account.
Yeah, 100%.
So how do you filter out whose message should you be listening to and what is just noise?
So the noise, that's where technology really does serve us. You know, if somebody's talking about espresso, is it the show or is it somebody who spelled coffee incorrectly, you know, or whichever way you want to look at it. So filtering out noise, technology can help you there. But when it comes down to actually kind of understanding what's the impact of this, that's where kind of tech and humans together help you. Because you can see, hang on, is this person serious about their experience or is it a troll? And secondly, what's the ripple effect of that? How many people are taking this, and with the right tools, you can kind of follow that conversation through your ecosystem to see, is this something we should care about, or is this just, you know, some guy mouthing off and we can ignore it?
Okay, great. I'm hopefully going to chat to you a little bit more, but now moving on to the show, let's quickly move on to where Bonnie is, somewhere in the loft.